Hey everybody, it's me Megs, and I am back. I am here with a deep condition and chat with me. I am actually filming on my phone today, so if the quality looks a little different, it's because I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone, okay? So today I'm going to be deep conditioning. Girl, you know, I mispronounce things all the time, and I know y'all are like, well, you record videos, you should get on camera knowing how to say stuff. I'm using this today. Joico. I'm going to be using the Moisture Recovery Treatment Balm. I have been loving this stuff for years. Like, this stuff is a bomb. So I'm trying to use all of this up so that I have two. I don't know why I have two that are almost empty, but I wanted to go ahead and get rid of these. So I of course always deep conditioning 4 sections. But today in this deep conditioning chat with me, I am going to be discussing something that I did bring up in my Q&A video. It was like a couple months ago, probably like 2 months ago or whatever. The question was, how come I never like talk about my mom as much as I do my dad? And ooh, yeah. It smells so good. I love this treatment balm. The question was, how come I never really discuss my mom or talk about my mom as much as I talk about my dad on my channel? And that is because I did explain in that video, I don't really have a close relationship with my mom like I do my dad. And you know, in that video when I did explain my relationship with my mom, I was surprised that a lot of you had kind of like a similar situation and relationship with their mom. So it did make me feel a lot better to know that I wasn't really alone, that other people have similar situations or relationships with their mother too. And so a lot of you you know, were able to relate to me, and a lot of you were kind of like didn't really get it or understand, which I understand that people aren't going to get it because some people just can't really understand not having the best relationship with their mom, because your mom is supposed to be your best friend, and that isn't everyone's reality. And I do want that to be my reality. Like, I want my mom to be my best friend, but she's not. Just being all the way real. My relationship with my mom has always been strained since I was like 15. It's just always been really weird. I don't know what happened around that time, but it got super weird ever since I was like 15. So my mom and my relationship has been pretty much the same ever since I was 15. We'll go through like periods where we're on good terms, and then there'll be a period where we're like just not talking. And it's kind of like a cycle. It always just happens that way. And I've kind of learned to accept it, even though some of the stuff that I have accepted, I really shouldn't. I really shouldn't be like, well, this is just how it is. You know, that's just how it is, when it really shouldn't be how it is. And I do find myself, when it comes to the relationship with my mom, I feel like I'm always the one kind of like doing the work to kind of like reach out and try to make it seem like things are okay. Because the issue with us, with my mom, it's really difficult to talk to her about anything, especially if it has something to do with her, if she kind of did something to you. It's really hard communicating with her. And I know a lot of you guys are like, well, you should write her a letter. You should do this. No, Robin doesn't do letters. Robin doesn't do letters. And people were saying, well, maybe you guys should do family therapy. I wish we could, but that's not, you have to be willing to do that. I feel like if you were to go to family therapy, you have to acknowledge that there is an issue there and be willing to fix it. Sometimes with my mom, I don't feel like she's willing to fix stuff. She's just kind of like, well, if you feel that way, then I don't know what to tell you. She's very much so like that. So it's kind of hard to talk to her. And even when I do try to talk to her about certain things, it gets flipped around on me like I just did something totally wrong to her. So then it's just like a never-ending cycle. And I really don't know what to do anymore, because I feel like I've tried And I know a lot of people in the comments were kind of like, well, you only get one mom, and you only, you should try to do this and try to do that. I feel like I definitely have tried, but I noticed that my mom doesn't try. Because I feel like if my mom doesn't acknowledge and try, then does that mean she wants it this way? I don't know. And I know a lot of people are kind of like, well, you only get one mom, and well, a lot of people, I don't know if people understand or know, but even though we only get one mom, parents only get one us also, right? So I feel like it has to go both ways. And with me and my mom's relationship, it definitely doesn't go both ways. So how I deal with my mom and that relationship, I just kind of, I don't know. It's just like, it's like I have accepted the dysfunction. I've accepted it, and I have accepted it, and it's kind of like always kind of like if there is an issue, nothing gets acknowledged. It's always kind of like that elephant in the room, and they're just kind of like, okay. When you do start to speak again, because what the issue is, there'll be an issue, and since I can't really communicate with my mom doesn't like to acknowledge issues in order to work through them, to move on. Because when you don't work through issues, it starts to fester, and then there's resentment that starts to build. So it's like a building explosion to explode an explosion, and that's what happens to me. And so with me having a better relationship with my dad, because I do talk to my dad pretty much every day, a couple times a day too. My parents, they've been divorced since the 90s. And I do feel like since I have a relationship with my dad, my mom takes out any animosity or anger that she has with him on me because I talk to my dad. And I'm kind of like, well, what am I supposed to do? He's my dad. Like, how am I not supposed to not have a relationship with my dad? And if my dad wasn't around or in my life, it would still be an issue. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm making necessarily a lot of sense in this video, but that's kind of like how things are with my mom. And with my mom, we don't have a close relationship as far as like I feel like I can tell her anything, because I can't. Because if I tell her certain things, she's a bit judgmental. I don't feel like my mom is necessarily the type of mom that just kind of like has your back through whatever. She's really not. From my experience and what I've noticed and what I've heard my mom say. Because even though family, they do have disagreements, right? Our disagreements aren't really things that are talked about or worked through. It just, for some reason, it always turns really petty and weird. And then I'm not talking to her like for months. I think the longest that I haven't talked to my mom was probably like a year and a half. And right now, I'm not talking to my mom. I haven't talked to my mom really since October. So I hate to say that this is the norm, but it is the norm. And I really don't know what to do anymore, because I do feel like my mom, she doesn't really respect me as an adult, and she doesn't really hear other people's feelings and how they feel. Only how she feels and her feelings seem to matter. And even if there are disagreements, like me, I'm very knowledgeable about, well, I wouldn't say that I'm knowledgeable, but I'm very aware if I hurt somebody's feelings or if I did something, or even if you came to me and said I did something, I would really like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to do that to you or make you feel that way. I apologize. My mom's not able to do that. I know growing up, and even now, my mom doesn't really apologize for things, but my mom, she does know if she did something jacked up, Because what she'll do is she doesn't apologize. She'll just offer to go out to eat or buy you something. That's how it was growing up. Like, growing up, it was never like, you know what, I'm really sorry, Megan. I shouldn't have did that. And, you know, I want us to do this and work on that. It's always, y'all want to go to Cheesecake Factory? Or like, I bought you these shoes. Or you want to go to the mall? Dillard's is having a sale. It's never like, I'm sorry. It's never that. But then it's like, if she feels we did something to her, it's just like, oh, it's just, you know, the worst ever. Like, the whole household has to pay. It's just awkwardness. So, yeah, that's just how it is without saying too much. And that's just how the relationship is with my mom. And as an adult, I feel like me understanding and knowing how my mom is more, because I used to get really bent up out of shape about it, like be messed up to where, like, you know, really down in the dumps about it. But I've learned to, like, understand that, okay, this is how my mom is and this is just how things are, and I have to do the best that I can to deal with her the best way I can. And sometimes the best way to deal with my mom is to not speak to her. And I hate that it is like that, but it is. And I just can't speak to her sometimes, because I feel like I don't want to keep having to do this cycle over and over again where issues are never acknowledged and never worked through. It's always, well, if I bring something up that I want to talk to my mom about, that's something that she did that I felt a way about, for some reason it always gets flipped around and turned on me like I did something to her. So with that, it's kind of like, do I want to deal with that emotional stress? Feeling like I can't talk to my mom and everything is always my fault if I bring something up that I want to talk to her about. So I just kind of choose to kind of like protect my boundaries. I also have to protect my own emotional well-being, because, like, if there is any kind of disagreement or anything with my mom, it really affects me in a messed up way, to the point where I'm like depressed feeling. And then it's just kind of like, well, what do? I just sit there with my feelings, feeling messed up because I brought up something that concerns me when it has something to do with my mom, and I'm thinking that I can talk to her to kind of like resolve the issue, to get an understanding, work through the problem. But no, it just comes out worse, because then it gets flipped on me like I'm just causing all this drama and all of this. Because family members aren't supposed to necessarily agree or get along with everything, but I feel like we kind of should be able to communicate and talk about it, right? Yeah, so I noticed, like, when it comes to like something that I say or bring up that she doesn't like, she tends to get really hostile. Ooh, excuse me, and I don't feel like I should have to deal with that. And with her getting hostile, then it makes me feel away, and then we're going back and forth, and I shouldn't have to do that with my mom. So I know we do need some family therapy, but my mom's not going to go. She's not going to go. Because I do notice, like, a lot of the stuff that my mom and I kind of like get into have nothing to do with me and her. They have a lot to do with whatever happened with my mom and dad's marriage or relationship, or what something happened that she felt a way about that had something to do with my mom. So I really don't even necessarily know if it's me or if it's because I talk to my dad and I have a relationship with my dad, and my mom has this kind of like beef with my dad. And I don't really even know what it is, because a lot of you guys are like, well, maybe she's heard about something. You can't judge her because she's whatever. But I'm like, well, I don't feel like I should, take the weight of of something that happened in their marriage. I'm the child. I'm the child. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Because I noticed it's something that I bring up that bothers me with my mom. It's always, did somebody tell did somebody who was talking to you and telling you because you was fine before? And like, no, nobody was talking to me. All of these feelings that I feel totally come from me. I'm not influenced by anyone. I'm an adult. I'm 30 years old. It's always, something has to do with someone else, and that someone else always seems to tie back to my dad when there always is some sort of disagreement. And the disagreement or how I'm feeling with my mom has nothing to do with my dad. It's something between me and her, but for some reason he always gets dragged into it, and I don't know how or why. I don't know. But I think it's something to do with my dad, and I really don't know. And I think that all has to do with just coming from a divorced family too. And I also noticed, like, since I do have a close relationship with my dad, because my dad lives in California and I live in California, I feel like anything that I'm doing, my mom isn't the most supportive of it. I've noticed she's not really in tune to really anything that I'm doing here. She doesn't really ask. She's not very, in tune. But then again, I wonder, like, okay, if I didn't have a relationship with my dad and I didn't live in California and I lived in Ohio, would things be different? Probably. But I just noticed that. But it always just seems to seem like there's so much hostility when it comes to anything. And then she always brings my dad up. Or something revolving or insinuating about my dad. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with anything. And my mom, she does seem angry or hurt about something, and I really don't know what it is. You ask her about it, she gets hostile, like, no, it's not. I don't know, girl. I don't know what to do anymore. So that's why I just kind of choose to keep my distance, because I want to protect myself from feeling hurt, and getting my feelings hurt when I really do want to have a relationship with my mom, but I really don't know how anymore. I feel like I've tried many times. I feel like I've done a lot more than what I should have done just by myself. And what I mean by saying I've done a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have done, I just feel like it wasn't equal. I mean, I do feel like I should reach out to my mom and try to have a relationship with my mom, but I don't feel like it should only be me. That's what I mean by that. I feel like it's all me. I don't feel like there's any of that same effort from my mom, like, at all. I don't feel any of that same effort, no. And don't get me wrong, I know my mom loves and she cares about me, but there are just issues there that are it's just jacked upness. And the story goes a long, long way, even before my presence on YouTube. This dates back decades, okay? And it's been like this for the longest. My relationship with my mom has been strained for the longest. And I really don't necessarily feel like it's gotten worse since I've gotten older. I just notice more now that I'm older, like, oh, okay, I see. It's kind of like that. So I'm hoping that it does get better. I don't know. But we always kind of have this, cycle of, okay, we're talking, now we're not talking. But our relationship is very surface level. I can't dig deep with her and talk to her about anything. So the the extent of our relationship, what I've noticed is we just go out to eat and talk about funny stuff. Which I do have fun when I am with my mom. I do have fun. Don't get me wrong. My mom's not a bad person. She's not, just trash of an individual. No, there's some issues there there's some deep-rooted issues there that need to be talked about, but they don't get talked about. And so since those issues don't get talked about, they just build on top of one another, and there's a big old elephant in the room and no one likes to talk about it. So the extent of our relationship is going out to eat, going shopping. watching something funny and talking about funny stuff and gossip. That's it. Like, that's fun and all, but my mom, she's not the type of mom to me where I feel like I can call her at any time and tell her anything and totally be comfortable with telling her how I feel about things, or tell her what I'm going through when it comes to something. She's not that type of mom. She's not. And I wish I had that type of mom, but it's just the reality that I don't. And I just know that I do have that type of dad where I can call him anytime that I need something, or if I need help, or if I need feedback or an opinion about something. Ooh, I'm shedding a little bit. He's not gonna make me feel uncomfortable or stupid or silly about maybe if I did make a bad decision. Or, you know, he's fully supportive, where my mom, she's not the most supportive with certain things. Well, a lot of things. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with because I live in California and I have a relationship with my dad. Because when I do come to her about certain things, or even just anything small, it's always, she thinks it's some sort of Jason influence. My dad's name is Jason. So, and I really think that has a lot of those issues that I think my mom have, or surrounding around my dad, is because of whatever happened in their marriage. And I really don't know the full extent of any of that. But I do feel kind of like that wrath of, well, you're out there, I'm not gonna be bothered like that. That's how I feel. I know that's kind of hard to say, but I do feel like it's kind of like, well, since I'm bothered with my dad, I'm not that much. My mom's not that much bothered with me because I'm bothered with my dad, and my mom feels some type of way about my dad. So yeah, y'all, I don't know how much this video made sense, but in a nutshell, that's what my relationship is with my mom, without spilling too much tea and keeping it kind of brief. But that's the kind of relationship I have with my mom. So we kind of go in and out of this cycle of we're speaking, we're not speaking, we're speaking, we're not speaking, and I really don't know what else to do. I'm just taking a break from my mom right now. Hopefully things change. I don't know. I don't really see them changing anytime soon, unless she kind of like, you know, does something a little different, because I feel like I've tried a lot, and I'm noticing that when I do try, it's always the same outcome, and I don't know what else to do. Letters don't work, sis. People, you should write her letters. You should sit her down and talk. No, she doesn't. Everything just turns immediately hostile, and it's just like, well, we can't talk to you, whatever. So, yeah, y'all, that's that. I know a lot of you in that video were commenting, like, well, how do you deal with your mom? What's your relationship with her? Like, that's what I do. We just have these cycles of where we're speaking, not speaking, and it's just one of those times where I'm not speaking to her right now. We'll speak again, but I just don't know when, sis. So, yeah. So, yeah, it is what it is. And this topic was probably one of the more difficult topics to talk about in a deep conditioning chat with me, because I know a lot of people have such good relationships with their mom. And you know, some people are more close to their mom than they are their dad, because I get it. It's like, mommy, you know, mommy. And for me, it's not mommy, it's dad. So, yeah, this was really tough to say on camera when I did do that initial Q&A video, because I knew people were going to be surprised. But I do want to say thank you guys so much for those who did understand and are going through the same thing I'm going through, and probably don't have the best relationship with their mother. So let me know how you guys kind of, like, if you didn't have the best relationship with your mom, let me know what did you do, or how you guys got through to get to a better place, and things like that. Because of course I do love my mom. Like, what? That's my mom. But I just wish I did have that type of relationship with my mom where we're traveling together, we're going shopping together. I can talk to my mom about whatever. I can call my mom whenever I want to, and things like that. So let me know how you guys if you have a similar situation, how you got through it. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and most of all, thank you so much for understanding, because this isn't easy to talk about, because this is like my real life and this is what I'm really, really going through. But I definitely wanted to share that piece of me, because that was something in the comments that people were kind of like asking about and wanted to know a little bit more. So if you can relate, you can. If you can't, hey, it's life. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will deep condition with y'all later.